This system is steadily drifting westward at approximately 10 to 15, perhaps even up to 20 miles per hour. Confidence continues to build among both our ensemble, atomistic forecast models, strongly suggesting that significant tropical development within the central and northwestern Caribbean remains highly plausible. Current indications point toward the potential formation of more than just a weak tropical depression. Conditions appear favorable for the emergence of a high-end tropical storm or even a developing hurricane somewhere in this sector of the Caribbean over the next 7 to 10 days. Residents across the Windward Islands, the ABC Islands, as well as Jamaica and the Cayman Islands should closely monitor this tropical wave as it gradually progresses westward. Latest NHC outlook here is the 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook issued by the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida. Although no official development area has yet been highlighted across the main development region, MDR, or the Caribbean, I fully expect that to change very soon. Given the growing model confidence that this wave will enter a more favorable region of the Caribbean, capable of supporting substantial tropical organization. Meanwhile, Tropical Storm Lorenzo continues to weaken and is expected to degenerate into an open wave trough by tonight, posing no threat to land as it dissipates over open waters. Latest model guidance turning to our global deterministic models, starting with the European model ECMWF, followed by the GFS, CMC Canadian, and ICO along with their respective ensemble projections and rainfall estimates. A consistent signal emerges. The European model has persistently shown this robust tropical wave advancing toward the central and southern Windward Islands, including Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, St. Lucia, Dominica, and Martinique. The wave axis exhibits a negative tilt, with southeasterly flow on the eastern flank and northeasterly flow along the western edge. Stronger winds are concentrated north of the wave envelope, where sustained winds of 25 to 35 miles per hour are already evident. This is not a weak system by any means. It's a vigorous tropical wave packing. Notable wind energy by Sunday afternoon through early Monday morning, October 19th to 20th, around 4 to 5 days. From now, this tropical wave is expected to cross the Windward Islands, producing strong winds, heavy rainfall, and intense thunderstorms. Flash flooding and localized wind damage will be possible as it moves through extended forecast, increasing complexity. By day 5, model solutions begin to diverge. While the ECMWF maintains the wave's westward track, development initially appears gradual, with organization increasing by day 7 around Wednesday, October 22nd, by around day 10. The system shows signs of significant intensification, potentially achieving tropical storm force winds or greater, although extending forecasts this far ahead usually falls into what we call model fantasy land. The remarkable consistency across runs from multiple model suites leads me to break protocol slightly. I am confident enough, yes, even enthusiastic, to say this system has legitimate potential to become a noteworthy tropical cyclone. The public needs to be alert because many people believe hurricane season is essentially over at this point. It is not over yet. Not until this wave is done. The ECMWF deterministic run carries the system into Belize and the Yucatan Peninsula, unleashing heavy rainfall, flash flooding, and coastal surge impacts. But don't be quick to dismiss it if you're outside Central America. Several ensemble members signal a northern jog into the Gulf of Mexico, suggesting potential future U.S. interests. Just look at the volatility between model runes. Today's 12Z run places the system near Belize. Last night's OOZ run had it northeast of the Bahamas in the same time frame. The previous run didn't even show the system at all. This is a high uncertainty forecast. Caribbean residents should monitor closely. It's far too early to suggest any threat to Florida, and I see no cause for alarm there yet. But if this storm did curve north and strengthen over warm waters, that would be a serious problem. A tropical storm packing winds near 70 miles per hour would unleash torrential rainfall, widespread flooding, and destructive impacts across any landmass in its path. And let me emphasize something crucial. You do not need a Category 5 hurricane to experience devastating conditions. Even a slow-moving tropical storm or depression can produce catastrophic flooding. Impacts always outweigh intensity. Never underestimate a storm based solely on wind speed. GFS. Model breakdown. Now, let's transition to the GFS model guidance. Looking at the same Sunday-Monday timeframe, we can clearly see the tropical wave, though it appears less organized and less structurally defined than what the European model suggested. Previous model runs from the GFS have flip-flopped repeatedly, showing inconsistency in how it handles development over the Windward Islands. However, watch closely after day 7, things change dramatically. By day 8, Thursday, October 23rd, the GFS suddenly ramps up development, showing a tropical storm forming in the central Caribbean. Then, it rapidly intensifies into a major hurricane before slamming into Haiti and the Dominican Republic on the Hispaniola Peninsula, just like the ECMWF. The GFS also suggests a northern turn, but it happens later and farther west, producing a completely different trajectory. This later turn is tied to the Bermuda Azores High, which has been weak much of this season, allowing earlier recurves out to sea. Now, however, that ridge is strengthening, meaning this storm may wait much longer before turning north, putting land areas at higher risk. The GFS eventually carries the storm out into the western Atlantic, brushing Bermuda with tropical storm to hurricane force winds. In the North Atlantic view, the system grows broad and powerful, looking somewhat subtropical in nature as it briefly threatens parts of the northeast U.S. coast before finally pulling away. A completely different outcome than the Euro's Florida scenario, which highlights just how uncertain the long-range track remains. Canadian model CMC, shifting now to the Canadian model, which is far more aggressive early on. It shows a much sharper, better defined tropical wave sweeping across Barbados, Dominica, St. Lucia, and Martinique within 4 to 5 days, producing tropical storm force winds right from entry into the Caribbean. The circulation nearly closes off, suggesting a possible tropical depression by day 4 or 5. The National Hurricane Center will almost certainly need to highlight this system in their tropical outlook very soon, possibly tonight. And if not, by tomorrow morning at the latest. If they don't, I honestly don't know what they're waiting for. As the CMC continues, it strengthens the system into a tropical storm around days 5 to 7. And by days 9 to 10, October 23rd to 25th, it intensifies into a hurricane south of Jamaica, with winds climbing past 75 to 80 miles per hour. Then something dangerous happens. It stalls. By day 9, the storm has moved almost nowhere. A stalled tropical cyclone over hot Caribbean waters is a worst-case scenario. Because slow movers intensify explosively and dump extreme rainfall over the same regions for days, how much rainfall can we expect? Now that we've covered intensity and track possibilities, let's shift our focus to rainfall potential, especially across the Windward Islands. And let me tell you right now, even though this begins as just a tropical wave, it is going to unload a tremendous amount of rainfall across the region. These islands are highly mountainous, many of them formed by ancient volcanoes. Because of this terrain, the windward eastern slopes of the islands experience orographic lift. Moist air is forced upward by the mountains, cools and condenses into severe rainfall. As a result, the windward sides could easily receive 2 to 4 inches of rain from this system, perhaps even more in localized bands. Meanwhile, the leeward western sides, sitting in the mountain range shadow, will likely pick up around 1 to 2 inches, so regardless of organization or cyclone status. This wave is going to produce heavy tropical downpours along its path. Rainfall impacts are guaranteed, even if winds remain modest. We'll address rainfall further west in the Central Caribbean later. But that remains beyond the 7-day forecast window, and it's too early to forecast exact totals with precision. What we can say with confidence is that both the European Ensemble EPS and GEFS Ensemble are already highlighting significant rainfall potential and localized flooding risks across the Windward Islands within 4 to 6 days. Both ensemble systems are showing 2 to 4 inches of rainfall with locally higher totals possible. Even without a tropical storm or hurricane designation, this system will deliver impactful rain. Once again, intensity labels do not matter here. Impacts do. Thank you guys. See you next video.